The American Revolution was shaped not only by famous generals and statesmen, but also by women whose courage, sacrifice, and service strengthened the cause of independence. Some worked behind the scenes, while others faced danger beside the army. Their stories reveal the determination and devotion that helped build the United States, and they deserve to be remembered. Women of the American Revolution. Polly Cooper, the Oneida woman who helped feed Valley Forge. Polly Cooper belongs in the history of the American Revolution because she carried knowledge as vital as any weapon. In the spring of 1778, she traveled from the Oneida homeland in central New York to George Washington's encampment at Valley Forge with an Oneida relief party. They brought dried white corn to an army struggling with hunger and disease. Cooper knew how to prepare that corn, taught others what to do, and remained after many of her companions departed. Her service joined food, medicine, diplomacy, and alliance in one of the Revolution's most remembered acts of native aid. Very little is known about Cooper's life outside this episode. Her Oneida name, birth date, family relationships, and the dates of her later life have not been firmly established in surviving written records. Even the name Polly Cooper is an English name preserved in later accounts. The strongest details of her story come through Oneida oral tradition, passed through families and recorded by Oneida historians. That tradition deserves to be identified honestly, not dismissed simply because colonial clerks failed to record the labor of an indigenous woman. Cooper came from the Oneida Nation, one of the 6 nations of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy. Oneida society was matrilineal. Women held important responsibilities in family life, agriculture, food distribution, and community decision-making. Corn, beans, and squash, often called the Three Sisters, formed the center of Haudenosaunee agriculture. Knowledge about seed, harvest, preservation, and cooking moved through generations of women. When Cooper carried white corn toward Valley Forge, she carried part of that living system of knowledge with her. The American Revolution placed the Haudenosaunee nations under terrible pressure. The Confederacy had long sought to manage relations with European empires and neighboring colonies while protecting its own lands and sovereignty. War forced communities and families to make dangerous choices. Most Mohawk, Seneca, Cayuga, and Onondaga leaders leaned toward the British, while many Oneida and Tuscarora supported the American cause. The division did not erase Haudenosaunee kinship. It turned a colonial rebellion into a civil conflict within the Confederacy itself. The Oneida alliance with the Americans grew from diplomacy, local relationships, and Oneida judgments about their own security. The missionary Samuel Kirkland helped connect Oneida leaders with Patriot officials, but the alliance was not his achievement alone. Oneida diplomats and clan leaders made their own decisions. During the war, Oneida men served as scouts, messengers, guides, and warriors. They brought intelligence to American commanders, supported Fort Stanwix, fought at Oriskany and Saratoga, and later joined forces operating from Valley Forge. By the winter of 1777 and 1778, Washington's army had settled at Valley Forge, northwest of British-occupied Philadelphia. The camp became a symbol of hardship, but its suffering came from more than snow. Supply systems broke down. Food moved unevenly. Clothing and blankets were scarce. Disease spread through crowded huts and hospitals. Thousands of soldiers remained in camp, and many civilians were there as well. The army needed flour, meat, vegetables, fuel, medicine, and skilled labor. Hunger weakened bodies already exposed to infection. Oneida tradition remembers a decision to send relief. On April 25, 1778, a party of 47 Oneida warriors left Cananwallahale in what is now central New York for Valley Forge. Polly Cooper traveled with them. Later accounts describe the party carrying baskets or bushels of dried white corn. Some retellings give very large totals, including 600 bushels, but no known contemporary document confirms an exact quantity. What matters is that the Oneida understood their alliance to include material support, not words alone. The journey covered more than 200 miles. The party moved south through cold spring weather, mud, rivers, forests, and settlements, while carrying provisions and equipment. This was not a ceremonial visit. The Oneida men were also being sent to serve as scouts with Washington's army. A soldier at Valley Forge recorded in mid-May that about 40 Oneida had recently arrived at camp. He did not name Cooper or describe corn, but his entry confirms the presence of the delegation at the time preserved in Oneida memory. White corn could not simply be eaten from a basket. The dried kernels required careful preparation, including hulling, washing, and long cooking. Oneida oral tradition says that desperately hungry soldiers tried to eat the corn before it was ready and that Cooper stopped them. She showed the soldiers and camp workers how to prepare it properly, turning a transported crop into nourishing food. The lesson mattered because food is useful only when people know how to make it safe, digestible, and sustaining. Cooper's work was therefore more than handing out provisions. She translated knowledge across cultures. She demonstrated a process learned through Oneida agriculture and household practice, supervised cooking, and helped people use the gift effectively. In a military history centered on generals and battles, this kind of expertise is easy to overlook. Yet an army cannot survive on strategy alone. It depends on water, food, fuel, sanitation, nursing, and the accumulated knowledge of people who understand how to keep others alive. According to Oneida tradition, Cooper remained at Valley Forge after many members of the relief party returned home. She cooked and cared for sick soldiers. National Park Service and Smithsonian accounts preserve the tradition that she served at Washington's headquarters or assisted the commander's household. The exact length and formal status of this work are uncertain. The central point is consistent across the accounts. Cooper chose to stay and continue helping an Allied army in distress. Tradition also remembers that the Americans offered Cooper payment and that she refused, explaining that helping allies was a duty. Martha Washington then gave her a black shawl and a bonnet as tokens of gratitude. The shawl was preserved through generations of Cooper's descendants and became a material witness to the story. Its survival does not answer every documentary question, but it connects family memory, Oneida history, and the national story of Valley Forge. The alliance carried a severe cost. Oneida's support for the United States made Oneida communities targets for British forces and other Haudenosaunee people aligned with them. Villages were attacked, homes and crops were destroyed, and families became refugees. After independence, the new United States and the state of New York did not protect Oneida land in proportion to Oneida's sacrifice. Treaties, fraudulent purchases, and settler pressure stripped away most of the nation's homeland. The story of help at Valley Forge must be told beside this history of loss. Remembering Cooper only as a kindly woman who fed Washington would therefore make her story too small. She represented an allied indigenous nation acting from its own values and political choices. Her knowledge came from a matrilineal agricultural society. Her journey joined the work of Oneida farmers, leaders, carriers, scouts, and warriors. The corn was both food and diplomacy. Cooper's decision to remain transformed an alliance between governments into care given person to person. Modern memorials have made that meaning visible. In 2004, the Oneida Indian Nation gave the United States the sculpture Allies in War, Partners in Peace, showing Polly Cooper between George Washington and the Oneida leader Shenandoah. It stands at the Smithsonian's National Museum of the American Indian. In 2026, the United States Mint honored Cooper and the Oneida at Valley Forge on the reverse of the Native American $1 coin. The design shows her offering a basket of corn while Washington removes his hat in gratitude. Polly Cooper matters because she reveals what an alliance demands. It demands travel, sacrifice, shared resources, practical knowledge, and the willingness to remain when suffering continues. At Valley Forge, she helped turn Oneida corn into food and Oneida friendship into action. Her story survives because Oneida people remembered what written records neglected. The United States can honor her best by remembering both parts of that inheritance: the aid that helped sustain the revolution and the obligations to Native allies that the new nation failed to keep.